I called a buddy that was still in the Army. I did some research to see how everybody feels about the word war right now. And the fact that we just changed our Department of Defense to the Department of War. You know what I mean? That's a phrasing that I don't understand.
Welcome back, Hutch.
Hey, Mark. Good to see you. Thanks for having me back.
Good to see you, man. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's just a little bit. Everything's been good. How are you?
You good? You're taking care of your dad?
Yeah. Me and Chance and I are up north taking care, living near to my parents because they're getting older and, you know, they worked hard their whole lives, so their bodies are starting to show it, you know. And I want Chance to be able to spend as much time with my father as he can. I worked on an almond farm all summer. Yeah, it was great. It was great. My uncle, he has a like Alzheimer's coming on type of thing, and so his son-in-law is taking care of their farm. Took it over this year, so I jumped in, and a lot of fun doing that.
Good for you.
It's weird living in a place the exact opposite of the city. It's a town of like 8,000 people, farmers. It's a strange dichotomy. It's a lot of like diehard Republicans and then like Mexican like agricultural workers that live in the same neighborhoods, and there's no issues. It's a very strange dichotomy. I was expecting it to be different up there.
Yeah, California has all these
pockets of everything.
Yeah.
Really interesting. And it's the Central Valley, so it's like on the same parallel as San Francisco, just inland a bit. Hot as hell. You smell the dust in the morning. Yeah. I'm guessing it's with downtown. It's like the non-city version of downtown in the morning.
So what do we want to talk about?
I've been seeing a lot about, it seems like there's a lot of fervor, like war fervor going around. There's
a lot of everything fervor going on.
Yeah, a lot of fervor going around. And it just I seem concerned because my son started asking me questions about, is World War III starting? What is happening with this? What is happening with that? And so I put some deep thought into it. I've been putting a lot of deep thought into it. And there are things that are so concerning to me, as in, remember the first time we talked, I said, I don't want my son to grow up in a world at war. And since we've had that talk, it's only gotten worse, way worse to a point to where he has a better understanding of it. A 12-year-old shouldn't have to have an understanding for war decisions adults are making. Something that, as somebody that has suffered from a war for the last 20 years and verifiably participated in combat, I can say that, I'd like to say that I have a little insight on some of these matters, on some of these issues. And I want to share the insight before it drives me nuts. I hope people grasp the idea that whenever one reaches out to an entity, say your own government, to do something on your behalf. So say an issue arises, there's this problem, the government identifies the problem, you know, the people speak about the problem, the government identifies the problem as well, and then the people assign the government the job to take care of that. So like, for example, if there's somebody that you don't want in your country, you give the government agency to remove that person. So because you're worried about this person or this group of people, you have these grave concerns, the government identifies your concerns, and then says, we'll take care of it. In order for them to take care of that, you have to give them agency. And by that I mean, everything you're asking them to take from that person, you have to give those same rights away in order for them to remove them from someone else. So there's a lot of, I've never seen people so like, just like wants the government to do everything for them. And when I say that, I don't mean like pay their bills. I mean like, hey, I'm mad about this, be mad with me, government, you know? And this is the first time in this country that I've ever seen people from the top to the bottom talk about people that don't agree with them as if they shouldn't exist. Because we disagree, you shouldn't exist. And what's cool about where I moved to is I can see the difference in the rural America. Now I live in rural America, and I grew up and have been living in a densely populated metropolitan. And they don't see eye to eye in any way, shape, or form when it comes to like the way that they believe their society should be run. And when I say don't see eye to eye in any way, shape, or form, it seems that the only subjects or things that can be talked about are things that they can fight over. This channel has done an amazing job at giving people insight into a way of life they could not possibly imagine for themselves. So until they got the insight from your channel or somewhere else, they didn't even think of that as a possibility, right? So you being the person you are, you'd never wake up in the morning thinking, you know, I need to make some money, I should get a gun and shoot somebody for theirs. That doesn't come across your mind. It's just not even in your realm of thinking. It feels to me that we've gotten to a place now to where fellow citizens are like knee deep in that toward each other. They have no idea how the other person could have come up with the way that they think and feel. So they don't think that they should exist. That is an insane concept to me in every way, shape, and form. And it's worrisome as a dad, as somebody that is raising somebody to be the best little guy he can. And he's doing a great job. He's meeting my expectations left and right, trying to be a good person. But I have seen him like ask me questions and cry from my response. And my response was just a bit of reality. Hey, Dad, why does this happen? Or why are they doing this? And when I tell him the reality of it, it breaks his heart to know that human beings conduct themselves in that way on a grand scale, right? It seems that, I'm glad we're here for this, because a lot of the things that it feels like people want to erase are a lot of the people you talk to. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. From what I have been seeing and hearing, it seems that there is a large swath of this country that I'm going to say gets their argument from most likely an ideology, like a religion. And with those sentiments, it seems to me, what I've seen with my own eyes and what it seems to be flooding in our social media no matter what, is the worst of whatever the other people are doing. It seems like that is like beaten into my face all day long. And unless I put my phone down, I really don't feel at peace. I was super grateful to be busy as shit working on an almond farm in order to get away from my fucking phone.
Yeah.
And do you think it's getting better? It's going to get, like, there's a plan to fix it?
I don't think so.
Does it feel like there's any sort of reprisal or like any sort of reprieve from this?
It would be interesting if we just all put our phones down for a full month.
A week.
And just saw watch what happened.
So living up in this rural town has taught me how to be alone as well. Because,
That's what we used to do.
yeah.
We used to not have these devices that fucked up our thinking.
And these devices also bring a 7 billion people's problems to your fingertips. So what seems like, so that's, I think, that ties into all of this. So the amount of access to information we have that isn't local. So it seems, from what I see people like really worked up over, seems to be, we have a country of 340 million people. You can get 8 people who experience the same problem. And if all 8 of those people get loud and they share it online, it looks like it's happening next door.
On a grand scale.
Next door, in your community. So now people have been fooled into thinking that the world is their community. It's not. It's to be observed, but not to be interacted with in the way that people believe they're interacting by receiving information. By feeling something they read or see, they feel as if they've interacted. You know? These things are very, very well designed machines. It feels like it's like a slot machine. You know, social media feels like it's like a slot machine, to where as soon as you get a little bit of a win, you're just like thumping for it.
Well, it was like when on the news they were selling advertising. Mm-hmm. Now on social media, other forms of monetization are in play, but it's really still just attempts to make money.
Yeah, and it seems that like they're getting really good at figuring out what we want based on the way that we work on our phones. So the data that they take from us, mm-hmm. and utilizing that to advertise is a science I think that us as a public is way behind on. Way behind. I feel like we have been given, it's like giving a toddler a handgun and saying, this is really powerful, but it's only meant for one thing. Don't worry. If you use it right, nothing bad can happen. But the thing can take, it looks good and all. That sounds great, but it's a fucking toddler you're handing it to. We're not smart enough to to be receiving this much information from around the world.
Or strong enough to police ourselves.
The minute we need any sort of police ourselves, we are granting the government agency to do everything for us. Everything. Except regulate getting robbed, It seems they've gotten really good at making sure that whatever they take, they don't ever give back. That's the other thing that people don't realize at all. Once you ask the government to do anything for you, they're not going to ask for your permission to do it again. That's not a thing. You have to demand to get back. When you lease agency to the government, it's not a lease. You're selling it to them at the cost of deal with that for me. And would you consider yourself, you're not a boomer. Would you consider yourself a boomer?
I don't even know.
I think you're more like 70s, so I don't think you're really like
I was born in the 60s.
You're born in the 60s, so not in the 40s and 50s.
No.
That's boomers are more 40s and 50s. So you're like a product of the younger generation of the boomer parents. So you'd be like the little brother's son instead of like the boomer, my grandfather.
I'm not sure. I think I'm probably a boomer.
You think so?
I think so.
You don't act it, so thank you.
I don't act
I appreciate
it, for sure.
it. Yeah. My dad's a boomer, and he's also a MAGA person. And I say that I don't like to prescribe to either like political ideology, since it's become like a Crips versus Blood thing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like anybody's trying to help me or my kid for the future. And I started to feel more distant from my father recently. ever since this election. And I've had to like put a lot of thought into like, what is happening? Why do I feel like I can't communicate with him as well about things he raised me and taught me? Questioning, government. He's a Vietnam vet, so he's got some resentment. He's got some serious fucking resentment over the Gulf of Tonkin and all that. And that resentment has all gone away. It's very strange that it seems that like when people cast their vote, they feel like now that I went this way, I have to stay this way till the fucking wheels fall off. Nobody is willing to say like, this seems good, but that doesn't. This seems to work, that's not gonna work. So yeah, you're good at that, but you're not good at that. You have to say you're good at it all the way across the board, or it's like, I'm being specific without saying anything because people get so upset if you speak about their team in any way. And being objective is illegal. That's not legal. You're not allowed to be objective because the minute you cast any sort of objectivity, you're a flat earther or some shit, I'm like, hey, I don't think that that's going to be productive for everybody.
Subjectivity. Subjectivity, I think you mean.
No, objectivity is in I'm coming from an objective point of view. I don't have a side.
Oh, I see.
When I'm coming to observe, I'm observing objectively. I'm not here with any feelings either way. I just want to see what I can see. That seems to be more and more discouraged. People want their opinion to be handed to them.
Yeah, everyone wants to.
Doesn't that scare you?
Yeah.
Was it like that when you were growing up?
No. I mean, maybe a tiny bit, but now it's like encouraged and.
It didn't feel like, I'm sure that you didn't feel like you could wake up and everybody at school would be fucking tripping on some bullshit that was different from the night before and then different from noon that day. And like everybody has these like alerts onto what to think about. It's crazy. Kids are like entertained by two numbers. This is a thing. My son tells me kids run around all day. And if you say 6 and 7 together, like it's a volcano goes off. So who did this to our children? Who did this to where somebody says 6, 7, everybody repeats it? Just two numbers. There's only 1 through 9. There's 0 through 9. There's not many you can work with. And they're hijacking 2 and making this, you got to do retarded shit with it. In my son's school, they don't teach any sort of critical thinking. Empathy, that's not a part of education. Like, teaching kids how to be empathetic toward each other. The teachers were like, Chance was telling me the teachers were like helping kids be bullies. And by that, talking the victim into not taking it so hard. He was like, Dad, the lunch dude, like the person that watches them at lunch, was telling the guy they were bullying, not to be so sensitive about it. I feel like I just woke up in another world recently. Do you ever feel like that?
A lot of hate going around.
A lot of hate, animosity, a lot of like everybody knows. Everybody knows. Anybody that comes at me that is just like, they have a definitive answer to something is a person I need to get away from. It seems like being open-minded is another illegal thing. That's not cool. You're not allowed to be open-minded because if you haven't made up your mind on something, then you don't know what you're thinking about. I don't know what the whole idea behind it is. I do want to say this. For people that are worried about our world going to war, it's a great time to. So, for instance, since the first time we talked, there was Russia had invaded Ukraine. Now Russia has flown planes into 3 NATO countries in Europe and flown them toward Alaska. So we had to intercept, right? The Middle East, I don't even know if I can talk about that without them like killing us through the camera. Mm-hmm. That's not, if you're agreeing with what other people are doing from afar, you're only able to do that because you have not been a part of that in any way, shape, or form. So anybody that is like super cool with somebody being in a conflict where civilians die, overseas and saying, I back that from where I stand. No, you don't. No, you definitely don't, because you don't know what's going on. You wouldn't back it if you knew what was going on. I did something in the me and so many people in my generation blindly went to war over what we all now accept was a lie. Everybody accepts it. Yep. George Bush was a bad guy. Dick Cheney was evil. This is like a narrative this is the paradigm. And nobody thinks it could happen again. Like, it's even easier to do. It's even easier to fool us into something now that we have the death box in our hands that are meant to make us buy and go to war type shit. It's made to do things we don't want to. The phone, social media, the devices that make me I feel like I'll never find somebody. I'll never find somebody because of the way that society has turned. I really had to start accepting that over the last year. It's like I might be single forever because I don't know how to do it the way that everybody does it. And it doesn't feel right to me. It feels fake. It doesn't feel, and I don't want to participate in it if it doesn't feel real. What I mean is like, just like the dating scene, like I'm in a new town, right? So I don't have a lot of social interactions with people, and I'm a very social guy. I don't go on like apps because that feels weird. It just feels weird. And if you were to try and talk to somebody in public, it's like I feel like I'm going to get pepper sprayed saying, yeah, you're wearing a nice dress. My bad.
Don't worry, in 5 years there'll be a AI.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it'll be a robot that I can flirt with. Yeah. And is everybody going that way? Is that cool? Can I find a compound where people aren't doing that? Am I allowed to opt out?
You're going to have to find a compound.
Yeah, am I allowed to opt out of the craziness? Like, there's no, like, for people that just want it, and I don't need it to be fucking Mayberry. I don't need it to be like what my grandparents had, because there's a lot of alcoholism and sexual abuse in those fucking times, and nobody talked about it, you know? A lot of abuse going on, and nobody talked about it. They still don't talk about it. So it looked really Mayberry back then. It looked all good with the, single home income and the mom and the kids and the white picket fence, but people were getting fucked up in that house. 1 in 3 houses, people were being abused. Probably because they were all fucked up vets. All fucked up from the war. People are going to stop thinking it's fun and games and waving fucking crazy flags and showing up to these like pro-war type situations when kids are coming home as flags, when flags are replacing people. You may be all hoorah, hoorah, America now, America, but if you're willing to send your kid right now somewhere else on behalf of, I don't know even what they could throw our young men and women at. Like, what excuse could they use? Like, what would we be okay with to replace our children with flags? But it's getting there. We're really close to that, to where people are going to have to accept that is the cost, is your children being replaced by a piece of fabric and stories from their friends. And anybody that does make it to the other side is going to be fucked up forever. And it truly affects our society. I don't know why they just renamed the Department of Defense the Department of War. I don't know why. I don't know why that was necessary. I get it. But why was that important? It makes me feel like they're trying to make it more normal to use. Like, and then the police and the ICE and stuff, they look like soldiers. They're got them all geared up, and they look like they're special op guys. Like, somebody needs to cut off the testosterone that they're fucking sending around this country in vials by the too many, You got these guys that are like beards, their faces are purple, and they just are mad that they missed GWAT. They missed the war. And they all have beards because they're trying to hide how much steroids they're on. So when you see these guys that look like they're like bubbles are growing out of their faces and they have a beard and they look like they're chewing gum, but they're not, they're on steroids. They're on steroids. So many veterans I know are on steroids. So it's like you got all these guys jacked up on steroids thinking they know what they're thinking about being aggressive. I just want to know who's parents, who right now out there like feels good about their kids being in the military, and like, what's the plan? Like when you told your kid you can conquer the world, did you imagine them having a gun in their hand? Did you imagine that? Did you imagine it'd be at the end of somebody else's life? You know, you can do whatever you want. You can conquer the world one day. When I told Chance that when he was a kid, I never imagined it'd be with a gun in his hand.
How old is Chance now?
12.
12.
And I come at this, everything I think about, I don't go into any of this without him in mind. He's in mind. I'm thinking about him constantly when I'm thinking about what's going on with the world around me. And it seems like it's changing so fast, I don't even know how to catch him up to what I don't even know I'm catching up with. He has more kids in his class that can't read than can. He's in 7th grade. These kids have been in school from kindergarten on. And they still have to use their finger to move along the line, you know, to read. So if you have a bunch of kids that don't have an education, and that's the standard, and because of COVID, they just pass kids through, that's a fact. I don't care what anybody says, that's a thing. Where since COVID, they're just like, we fucked this whole thing up, so just go on. With if Gen Alpha is uneducated, and Gen Z is partially educated, partially uneducated, we're in for a world of hurt we can't fathom, and AI is not going to fix it. AI is not going to fix anything. It's not.
It's going to complicate everything.
Yeah, it's going to make your power bill go up, and it's going to poison the water sources in our country. That's the two things it does. You might as well be fracking. Seriously, it has the same damage to our water sources as fracking does, and it takes so much power that everybody's paying more for their power bill right now because of data centers. And when did we start asking them, hey, what are you doing? Instead of them asking us, hey, what do you want? You know? Like, it's like, hey, why are bills going up? Oh, we forgot to tell you, you signed up for something you didn't know about, which is we're providing power to these data centers and you're gonna pay for it. This is just something that's Googleable in effect. I'm not being conspiratorial. In order to provide the AI that everybody wants, you think dumbasses should have super intelligence? Dumbasses should not have access to super intelligence. Like on the death box, now you give an idiot the ability to wield genius-like powers. Like a dumbass will be able to do anything somebody that takes a superior amount of thought and processing and like fucks to give in order to come to the conclusion of a problem. And now we're going to hand like, hey man, it's a calculator we were never meant to have. It's a calculator we were never meant to have. There's stories of AI like grooming kids to like commit suicide. Like totally just being their best friend through the whole thing. Is that on the fucking terms and conditions of ChatGPT? Is that on the terms and conditions of like, hey, our bot might groom your child to kill himself, he's a little depressed. Don't worry, we'll help him get there. Telling the kid, it was like this whole court case, they're suing ChatGPT, this family, because the thing was telling him not to leave things for his family to know what he was doing. It was like, no, You don't owe survival to anyone. Is what the goddamn computer told him. And it has a voice that sounds like it cares. And these things were programmed by people. Jesus didn't program these things. So there's nothing but a lot of, now it's just a really smart person trying to make sure it does what you're asking it to. It feels like it's coming to a head faster than it's not. I feel like this is going to be something that we're going to see a significant shift in the way the world works. And before we're too old to not feel it. You'll feel it, and I'm going to feel it. My son is going to, luckily my dad raised me to be a Renaissance man, and I'm raising my son the same way, which is that if you can solve one problem, you're a problem solver. It's not that you can take that ability to find a solution anywhere you go, you know? Because when things change drastically, we're gonna have to figure out how to do things much differently than we've ever known before. And I hope that more people don't have to fucking die for us to get there. I think people think it's a fad now for like Gen X and like, I would say millennials down to use guns to speak how they feel. They're using guns to show people how they feel. And that's just not, that becoming a norm is not, it's not a problem that's going to be easily solvable in the United States. If people are like, hey, I'm pissed at this, so I'm going to make the biggest scene I can in order to get the most amount of attention for this problem because it's so whatever it is to me. And if you can go to Walmart, you know, and go buy a tool that will make it easy to take a bunch of human lives at a distance, what is the solution to that? Churches, like everybody, there's like, today's Monday, so in the last 48 hours, there's been like 4 different situations where people have murdered more than 3 people, shot over 10 people for something they were feeling. 2 churches, a guy on a boat in North Carolina shot a whole dock up, some pissed off weirdo dude, and he was fucking legit insane. I don't know how you can have a bunch of restraining orders against you and still own a firearm. But people cannot use a gun to voice themselves. Once everybody starts using guns to voice themselves, there's no coming back from it. Because everybody in this fucking country's got access to a gun and some bullets. Everybody. Whether you know it or not. There's a gun nearby. I promise you, Mark. There's a gun nearby. within a football field of where we're standing right now, even in Santa Monica, there's guns here that don't belong to authorities. That scares the shit out of me for my kid. If kids think that they're growing up now, that they have, it feels like it's in their community. So I was able to see all of these different shootings on my phone in a 15-minute period. I looked up every one of them. So that feels like it's happening to me. After I did that, I felt like shit, my son could be next. These things happened in other states, thousands of miles away. But that's what we were talking about earlier, that when you have access to information and it's bad, it's information that is meant to give you feelings, and it's coming from everywhere, it feels like it's happening in your community when it's not. I think that was how people got so riled up over the immigration issue in the United States. I think that was how that message was so effective. Was, my uncle in that farm town he's in, they've had no issues of anything with any sort of illegal immigrants. And when I asked him, about things, the first thing he said was, there are these illegal immigrants that are doing all these horrific things. They're doing all these horrific things to people in the United States. They're hurting us. I'm thinking, like, who? Like, I know, I'm sure it happened. It's happened. I'm sure there were happenings. But for him to feel like it was happening to him like that, that was purposeful. That information is being given out for that reason. And people aren't, if I'm not understanding there is a thought process behind how I'm receiving this information and what information I receive, I don't think people are going to understand until we have like a put your phones fucking down for a month thing. Because there's one thing that happens after you ask. People are going to ask for things to happen, and then they're going to stop asking. And a country that has this many guns, and the guns are here for the reason of, if you feel like something tyrannical is happening in your environment, you have the goddamn right and duty to end it with a gun. That's the whole purpose of the Second Amendment. So, can we go back to just like the beginning real quick? Sure. The 13 colonies were thriving, things were going good. The people themselves, the American colonists, were being, the local authorities was all the British military, okay? I'm trying to give context to when our Constitution was written and the purpose behind it, really. So you have a business, you pay your taxes to the government and everything, right? You have daughters. A drunk fucking British soldier comes out of the pub and your daughter's walking back to your house and he decides he's gonna have his way with her. You as the father, she comes back to you, broken, bloodied, damaged. You as the father, get your fucking rifle, your hunting rifle, and go find the dude, right? It's like, this is back before there were cops. You're like, okay, I need to make this right. This dude just fucking hurt my daughter. You go back, the British government's like, hey, no, you're not allowed to punish him. And if you do, we're gonna hang you in front of everybody, right? So your options were take it on the chin. That's tyranny. That was the tyranny that our people were going through that motivated them enough to overthrow the most powerful military in the world at the time. Was you're doing things that are wrong and no one is being held accountable. I feel like, so the forefathers put into our Constitution, if somebody's doing shit like that, you should have a gun so that you can stop them. Now we've put systems in place to prevent us from having to do with that, right? Justice, the justice system, things of that nature. It looks and seems to me, it feels like vibe-wise, that people are feeling like they're lacking options to deal with these types of problems. You work full-time, as hard as you can. You have nothing to show for it, and your chances of buying a home as an individual are really starting to slim down. That's a fact. The American dream isn't attainable the way it was in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. It's just trickle-down economics is not a thing. It's not a thing that will ever work. It's never worked. It won't work. It's the worst excuse I've ever heard for not asking people that make the most amount of money to pay the same amount as the poorest. If they have a lower tax bracket than somebody making 80 grand a year, somebody making 80 billion pays less than somebody making 80 grand a year per, like percentage-wise, that's wrong to me. Okay? So once people start to feel like the reason they're poor is because these people are rich, and it seems like that's happening, an economic tyranny is going to feel the same to them as a societal tyranny. So it's going to feel like the same emotions are going to come with this economic tyranny as if it were coming from a man doing something to your daughter and you can't do anything about it. And because we live in a society that has been raised to believe the way you end that type of tyranny is with violence, it seems that we're leading more and more toward like violence is getting more common and commonly used for communication. I see people fighting more, like willing to beat the shit out of each other in the middle of the street way more than I ever did before. People are more willing to fucking like not have any shame at all as it comes to their fear. Like if they're upset in public, there's no public decorum. Like that's not a thing, you know, depending on, I guess, no, well, there's more. How is there no public decorum? And there's more Karens. So there's more random white ladies that will point out to you what they don't like you're doing, but there's way less people that give a shit about how they look when they're in public. Luckily, I've been all over the world, so I know what we look like from the outside. And I would, the fact that we are so egotistical, thinking that we right now are something other than like a crumbling society that is failing itself left and right, and it's endangering its children's future. I see more people thinking that it's going good in that way than not, at least from one side. I've been all over the place. I'm sorry, Mark.
It's all right.
Has this been all right?
No, it's been good. A lot of people have all these same concerns and thoughts, feelings.
And the fact that we all feel like there's nothing we can do about it is not something I'm not willing to accept there's nothing we can do about it. I'm not willing to accept they can't change, they can't do what we need them to do for everybody to be better off. Saying, well, oh, that's a system in place. Well, we can change the fucking system. Everything is malleable as it comes to the way we assign power, and we're assigning this agency over to these people. When you give agency to a government, they don't give it back. You're asking them to do something for you. It's like if I were to give somebody power of attorney. You know, hey, I can't pay my bills. I need you guys to pay my bills for me. If I'm not on top of that person who's doing that, they can do whatever the fuck they want. I've given them that, you know. And I don't know if you know how capitalism works, but it works off of I get away with whatever the fuck I can get away with. That is the system. If the system allows me to make a profit, regardless of hurting people or not, that's the system. And that's the system we pride ourselves in. Like, I just don't understand why people don't think you can blend everything. You can take the best of this and the best of this and the best of that and put them together without everybody having to kill each other. You know, you're not a communist because you don't want people to not be able to go to a hospital if they're sick and hurt. I'm not a communist because I want people to be able to get health care. Just because I was raised in a system that says if you want that, you got to earn it, doesn't mean I don't think people deserve it. I think people deserve it because they're alive. And I think that somebody that has the ability to help saying, well, I don't want to help, I don't have to. Yeah, you're right. That's the system we've adopted. And it's been beaten into our head that that's the best system. The system that makes sure that if you don't want to help anybody, it's not only not frowned upon, but it is, you're celebrated. If you can, doesn't matter what you have to do to get there, the most profit you can make, the more you're celebrated, regardless of how you got it. Regardless. And people that have nothing thinks that's a good idea. That's great. The people that I see that are so fucking fired up for to keep the status quo are the people that are gaining the least from it. This is what happens when people can't read and they're just given the ability to vote, In grocery stores, they use they use really bright colors on things to get your attention, right? And try and make it, so now when you go to a grocery store, it's like a straight cornucopia of colors. It's crazy in the middle. I think that they do the same thing for people that they want to vote. They just use magical words and really bright colors. And it's believe me, I'll give you what you want. And then when they don't give them what they want and the people are fucked, were those people you interviewed in West Virginia?
The Whitakers.
What do you think their political beliefs are?
They don't have political beliefs.
You don't think so?
Uh-uh.
I bet if you were to ask the verbal members of their family, they lean one way.
Well, they're just going to follow what everyone there
in the area is, right?
In the area is doing.
Right.
And that's Trump.
So that's interesting. And they're adults and they can vote if they're not felons and they have an ID.
Mm-hmm.
Those people get to make decisions for others. Yeah. They get to participate just like everybody else. The Whitakers. I think it should strike somebody who aligns a certain way that it's obvious to anybody that if you were to ask the Whitakers who they would vote for, we know. That's crazy.
Yep.
And then there are people that are don't even realize that that's you're on that team. You're on the team that people can look at the Whitakers and be like, they're from where, West Virginia? In the Appalachian? Okay, yeah. I know which way they'll vote. And it's that's your team. That's your team, guys. And I'm worried for those people not thinking that I didn't want to share that. Something happened up at my dad's when me and Chance first went up there. We were staying in with my dad at his house, and he had he has a trailer for when they were looking to buy their new house. They bought a big a fifth wheel RV. So me and Chance were staying there for the first couple months when we moved up there before we found a place, and the neighbors called the city because they didn't like knowing that we were sleeping in there. And I just didn't realize how much my life was off-putting to others. So much to where they needed to call some sort of authoritative figure to fix it. Never speaking to us at all, as if I wanted to be there. And then me and my son had to hear them congratulating themselves when they found out that the city came by. We weren't doing anything, being loud or anything. We were just going in there to sleep at night, So we had a little bit of privacy, and my parents did too, so they didn't feel so in their new home, I didn't think it was a bad situation. But these people were so bothered by it, they had to call the authorities, and then once the authorities came by, they were congratulating each other. How is that a norm? How is that a thing? And I get it. If you didn't want to see, and the camper thing was there before we ever got there. It's not like anything that they had to see anything different other than me walk in and walk out of it a couple times a day, maybe. What was the feeling they got when they saw me to where they had to fucking call the city to fix it? My situation was unbearable for them to even have to look at. I don't. And they were like, they felt like they won a war or something that I didn't even know I was in. I didn't know. If I would have known that my presence was bothering them in that way, I really would have tried to do something to stop it, to fix it for these people. Because of just having to look at me is so fucking hard that they need to call the authorities to fucking have them come with a clipboard and a badge and say, you got 3 days to fix this. It broke my fucking heart. It broke my heart. That's just had me kind of fucked up for a while. Like, it's just that, like, when did that happen? You know what? I hate to say this, but I would bet my left nut they go to church every Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I really would. And I'm not trying to dog people that are Christian at all. I know real Christians, actual ones that like do everything in their power to be caring and loving to people around them. And just like, kindness first, judgment is last. So that's what I think, that's what I've always grown up to believe that's what a Christian was. And it feels like that fucking, they've hijacked that religion, man. People have hijacked that religion. In the comments, in a lot of the videos, it's like somebody hears something terrible and they say, hey, you can read it. They think that there's only one way to fix this, Hutch. Find Jesus. I always found that as interesting as a response to somebody's pain is, I know somewhere you can go. Get that shit out of here. But I know somewhere you can go. I'm not going to tell you how to get there. I'm not going to help you find it. I'm just going to tell you that's what you need to do. Like, there's a certain authority that comes along with religious fervor. Did you know you live in a Christian country? I've been told this over the last couple months, that I live in a Christian country. Fuck, I didn't know that in 2002. In 2002, when I went to war, nobody told me, hey, you're doing this for Jesus. You're going to Iraq for Jesus. I didn't know that was a thing. And now it seems that like we're allowed to, the reason that our forefathers said there needs to be a separation between church and state, because there were political parties at the time that were a certain religious sect, like Lutherans, right? And then they would just outvote the minority, the religious minority they didn't like. And so we're like, Thomas Jefferson, the fellows, they were like, no, we can't do this because people are going to be persecuting their fellow citizens based on their religion. So we cannot use religion in this government at all. We're not a religious government. We're not doing this. It's a separation of the two. We're going to respect it, and you're allowed to be all of that shit you want. But as soon as you start to use it to, religion and democracy don't sit in the same, they're like oil and water. They don't, one takes critical thinking, the other takes blind faith. Says, you know what I mean? You must abandon that type of thing for this. So if you were to put those together, it's like we're abandoning critical thinking, but you're acting like, but then you're using, like, what is it? Did you know this is a new thing? You better get you a cross, brother. I'm not playing. You can't burn. Then now they made it illegal to burn the flag, which I'm glad, but I still don't agree with it. I'm happy they can't anymore, but at the same time, I went to Iraq for people's right to do that. I know a lot of my buddies, and I had some conversations with my friends over the phone. My buddy Dave did assure me. I do want people to know. He works for a really high up guy. There's only 5 of his position on the base he's at, my buddy. And he said that the likeliness of our men and women being sent abroad without the union sovereignty being at stake in some way, shape, or form, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. And the National Guard isn't the military. That's not the same thing. I think people are confusing that. There's National Guard being deployed all over the country. Do you like that? Do you think it's necessary? I mean, I've been to Chicago. The place is crazy. But I don't think it's the right look. I don't think it's a good look. My dad said he disagreed with that, and he's full MAGA, dude. And usually once you're in that team, once you got the hat, it's there's something in the hat that makes you basically bulletproof to other opinions. And that hat is its own little it's an echo chamber thing. It's an AI hat or something. They got something's in that red ink that gets people to say that I would never be okay with somebody doing that. And then if you say, hey, but your dude did that. And they're like, well, whatever. It's take the hat off, dude. It's doing something to you, man. You got to be able to say, I don't like it, no matter who it is. I think that it seems like there's some, there is a concerted effort toward making it more, it's less dangerous to hurt kids. Definitely. The way that the laws are and the way that things are being written up now for who's a minor and who's not. It seems like it's easier to, that Roblox shit is hey, we're making money. Our chomo's bringing the best. The best money comes from our pedophiles. Don't try breaking up that revenue stream. That's capitalism. So for all the fans of capitalism, know this, that if pedophilia brings a revenue stream, whoever is receiving that revenue will do everything in their power to not let that pedophilia end. That's capitalism. Straight up. It's happening right now, where I don't let Chance go on that app anymore because of how dangerous it is. And because of, if children are just the cost of making some money, that's, they can't even vote yet. Fuck it. I don't. You know what? When I was growing up, and I bet when you were growing up, didn't people in authority always talk about the future, his future, the kids, the future for the kids?
Absolutely.
We got to do this for the kids. The kids matter. They're the next generation. I haven't heard that in a decade. The importance on children has not been a thing for a decade. And maybe it's because we don't have to deal with them the same, because you can give them a device and they kind of aren't in your face anymore. So they used to have to deal with them fuck, we need to make you into something great. You're wild. It doesn't feel like we're making decisions for our kids' future. And we're making decisions under duress and scared. Mark, how did we start to put the phones down for a month fucking thing? FlipPhone February? FlipPhone fucking February, dude.
February next year.
Yeah.
So I'll just put phones down for a day.
I'm saying let's get FlipPhone February before it's like shotgun October. Honestly. Or shootout September. We should definitely, because we're at the point, like I'm saying, where the father is looking for the man that hurt his kid. And he's going to be told there's nothing he can do about it. We're right there. We're on the cliff of like, people feel like they're going to have to take everything into their own hands. I know I'll be watching the phone. I'll be like trying to prevent myself from doom scrolling, which I have a timer now to where if I've been on for more than 15 minutes, like, nope, can't do it. Because I'll get more and more feelings from what I'm seeing on the phone. I'm glad we had this conversation, Mark. I appreciate this.
Me too.
Hopefully it's more than just a little venting. I'd love to interact with people on it. I would love to get people, like, to have conversations. I would love to discuss these things.
There's going to be plenty of comments.
People have good and better information. And I wasn't saying any of this to attack anyone. It's just, I see things and I feel them, and it seems like it's getting more and more dangerous to talk. It's getting more and more dangerous for us to communicate with each other. It's getting more and more illegal looking, Stop asking the government to do shit for you. Please. Stop asking the government to do shit on your behalf, because they're going to continue to when you don't want them to. Word of the wise. War is expensive and nobody wants to deal with the consequences. It's all fucking fun and games until your kids are coming home as a fucking flag. We're not even doing a good job taking care of the veterans from the war we just got out of. I hope people are really stop thinking of their fellow citizen as the enemy. They shouldn't disappear. You should meet them in the middle. They shouldn't just fucking adopt how you feel and see things. Tradition is the death of human discourse. I've said that before. And what I meant by that was traditions for tradition's sake can prevent positive evolution within oneself. Straight up. You're limiting yourself based on traditions. Certain ones. Certain ones are necessary for survival. That's why they exist. But I think people now hang on to what they thought of as that's how it should be type of tradition, and it's preventing people from having meaningful conversations that help them evolve as people. And the more people feel attacked, the less likely they are to be open-minded. I know we can do better. We deserve it, right? We deserve it, Mark.
Yeah, and all this anonymous social media commenting,
it's the devil.
It's the devil. Because
it's the devil.
Like it's gotten so out of control. The freedom of speech and the internet collided and created this monster where anybody can say I can say you're a pedophile, murderer, communist.
Yep. And it's not slander.
No, but no one's ever gonna. I'm anonymous, and I can say whatever the fuck I want about anybody. And it should be where it's like your driver's license picture and your address and your everything should be connected with that comment. Just to control.
And I think if you want freedom of speech, if somebody's making money off of where you're putting your speech, they don't know you shit. They don't know you that freedom. So if you think you're owed freedom of speech on an app, you're not. You're not. You're allowed to go outside and say shit, but then you can't be anonymous. So freedom of speech is limited as to the business providing it. And just like you can no shirt, no service, the same thing. They don't. But those comments make money. Those comments get people pissed and screaming at each other and engaging more. So those make more money. So capitalism wins again. Mm-hmm. Capitalism wins over what's good.
Right. It always wins.
It always wins, yeah. The money motive. I'm over that shit, dude.
Yeah.
Money's getting worth less and less and less, and I hate using it.
We need a revolution.
We do, brother. We do. And I'm willing to sit down with anybody and talk about how we should get it done. And I will dedicate the next 10 years of my life to fixing problems if people are serious about it. It feels like there's no, like, I'm glad you let me come talk to you because this is the only thing I feel I can do, man. To feel like I'm trying, you know? People are too afraid to take a fucking day off work to go protest if they don't like what's happening. You know? You can't say you have the freedom of protest. So, you know, like capitalism, it says that the market dictates, you know, the person. So if you don't like it, you don't have to buy it, right? If you don't like what they're doing, you don't have to buy it. And they say the same thing for politics. If you don't like it, you can go protest. No, you can't. The system is now set up in a way to where the people that need to protest the most literally cannot feed themselves if they go speak their mind. If they say, hey, the reason I can't speak myself, I'm not able to feed myself and I want to go protest that fact. They can't, because if they do, then they can't fucking feed themselves even worse. So if you've set it up, that's what I mean by you're saying, don't pick up a gun and demand change with violence, peacefully protest. You have removed our ability to do that meaningfully. That means the next fucking thing, that's the First Amendment. Peaceful, you know, the right to peacefully protest, peacefully assemble is in the First Amendment. The next one is the one with the guns in it. That's the next one. It's like if any of those things aren't working, number two's in there that's the reason that they said everybody should own a gun, because if you can't handle this in these nice ways we're talking about, it's your duty to fucking force them to stop. So if all of the guns that we have that are supposed to be used to like detest tyranny are being used to hurt innocent people, and I'm saying this to the people that are like super big Second Amendment gun advocates, because I am, but I realize why. So I know why that's there. And I'm not afraid to say, if there were 2,000 American dudes right now, well armed with fucking body armor and helmets and shit, that were down to go tell the federal government, take your fucking masked men and these fucking dudes, and back the fuck up. We'll figure this out ourselves. But you're not allowed to be doing what you're doing. I don't care who's in charge. I don't care if it's Trump or any of them. Federal agents with guns, not having to identify themselves, being anonymous, masked up, making mistakes on the streets of our country is not acceptable. You can't make a mistake as in, I don't know if that person's a citizen, so I'm going to arrest them until I figure it out. You are the enemy of the Constitution. Anybody that's violating a citizen in that way, even if it's in the process of trying to find somebody that's not, which makes them a dangerous criminal. Not being a citizen now makes you a bad person, a dangerous criminal, somebody that needs to be brutalized by men with fucking assault rifles that believe they're in Iraq. They think they're hitting insurgents. Like the lady selling cantaloupe on the fucking corner is the bomber of Baghdad or something. Like they're literally hitting these people in full force with fucking, and people are like, yeah. It's like they're doing that. You're giving them your agency. And in order for you to get those masked men with guns to go take that person off the street, you're giving them the right to do it to you. You have to give that right to give them the ability to do that. I don't think people are fucking being smart about how much of their agency they're leasing out. Because tyranny doesn't just, malevolent people aren't the only tyrannical people. Tyranny comes as a part of a system that becomes too much, that leans on it. Once the people lean on the system too much to get things done, tyranny is inevitable. It's the only way to make it work because you guys are so fucking lazy. You can't handle shit in your own communities. You can't fix any of your own problems. You have to ask somebody that is robbing your goddamn wallet to do it for you. They're going to do it the way they know how. Shitty. I love people cheering on our government. The people that are cheering on our government saying like, hooray, you guys are doing a great job. Just show me what. Show me what. Don't show me what you're getting out of it. What are you getting out of it? If it's safety, okay, cool. You're going to get that safety, but you're never going to have your right to fucking be safe for yourself again. They're never going to give you the ability to fucking keep yourself safe now. Now you've given them that chore. That's it. It's theirs. Now you don't even have the right to keep yourself safe because you've asked them to do it so many times. People are not interacting with their neighbors. I mean, my neighbor, like, they didn't even say, hey, how long are you guys going to be staying like this? It kind of bothers us having people stay not in the home. They couldn't even do that. Our neighbors, my dad, like, they couldn't even do that. That wasn't even a part of their thought process. Like, I don't need to be a person towards these people. I just don't like what they're doing. People want things to get done without having to act like people to do it. And people that live in rural America do not understand how people in the city get along or get on, or their needs, or the way that they see the world, and vis-a-vis. And it is so fucking disgusting to me. I have fought in war with people from both sides that did not give a fuck about that shit when it came down to looking out for each other. Like, if you don't want to understand the person you disagree with, you're the problem. You're the problem. If you don't think that they have just as much right to feel whatever they feel as you do, you're the problem. If you think that one person who is a profit-motivated human being is going to look out for your best interests, you're the problem. Because you're willing to give that person agency. I don't want you to. I don't want you to give them my agency. When you're the majority and I'm the minority, or however it is, I don't want you relinquishing all my rights to handle something for you to these people. And that's exactly what's happening right now. Our country was never meant to be a democracy. 51% shouldn't be able to dictate 49% when there's 340 million people. 150 million people, 160 million shouldn't be able to tell 150 million how to live if it's not the way that they feel is right or fair or just or whatever. We're a republic of states that make it so that if you don't like something going on in this state, you can find a state that fits you. There's 50 of them. Every state shouldn't have to act the way you want them to. That people have gotten so far away from the idea that we are a collective of people that work together to make decisions. It's not the mob rules. It has been hijacked that way. And now people like my son thinks that democracy is like voting for 3 people. You got a senator, a congressman, and a president, and that's all you got. And those people are definitely going to make some fucking money while they're in there. If the system is broken, people have to admit it. You can't have too much ego to say shit's not working. You can't say it's un-American to say that our American shit is not looking good right now. That's the least American thing you can do. You don't just slap America and big words on things and big like gold fucking stars on shit and think that makes it better. You don't get to rename like fucking oceans and think that that makes you better. Like, just putting a title on something doesn't make it great. You don't just get to say, well, this is the best. It's the best. We're the best. We're the best. It's prove it. Prove it. Prove it. Prove it. Stop telling me things. When was the last time, politicians lie. That's a paradigm. You put the word politician, one of the next 2 words that's going to come to your mind is deceit in some way, shape, or form. But when they're in there, we trust them. Like, I don't I don't understand the people that are die-hard government fans. How did they get that way? Like, if you don't have much and you're thinking that the people with a lot are helping you, just not yet. It just doesn't going to kick in yet. Don't worry. As soon as they're not around anymore, you'll feel the good things out of this. People don't understand that we can make the demands and make it happen tomorrow. If I were to reach across all aspects of American life and say, hey, we all want this. They're not going to do it for us, whether we have elected them or not, because it is not in their best interest, because big business has more authority within our government than the people. That's a fact. Big business has more authority. Citizens United made it that way. And we're capitalists. Remember, if you can fucking hurt kids to make money, that's the system. It's okay. Why are we trusting them in 2025? You can see, everybody knows the feds killed fucking Martin Luther King. Yeah. We saw the files. Crazy. They whacked him. They killed fucking Malcolm X. They killed the leaders of the Black Panther Party. They killed JFK. By they, I mean some intelligence agency here in the Middle East, one of them. Wasn't in charge of that, but we all know it. And it's like, no, they want to do that again because they still have the same rights to do what they were doing then now. We didn't demand hey, you're not allowed to fucking assassinate people at will. So yeah, you're not allowed to do that shit. When was the last time a really, really powerful person decided power was the worst thing for him or her? Never, ever that I can remember. And once you give somebody all that power, why would they want to give it back? It's too intoxicating. It's too attractive. I want to interact with more people, man, Mark. I really do. I want to see more people talk to each other and figure things out together. I'm so sick of walking around and like hoping that people look up from their phones to notice that we're in the same place at the same time. We're getting to know each other so well, you know, we have all this information to figure things out about each other without judgment and stuff. And that's where we stop. We watch the video and that's it. We've watched the video, we agree with what we say, and that's it. Because you gotta go to work tomorrow. You gotta get the kids ready. You gotta... I'd rather thrive than survive. I would. I'd rather say, nope, I don't have to settle for this. I don't have to accept this as the way it is. I've accepted a lot of shitty things for myself. And as it comes to my son's future, I don't have to fucking accept that shit anymore. I don't have to accept fucking half-assed. Or saying, well, you know, it's too late. It's too late to get, you know, no, it's not. It's never too fucking late. I'm sick of these fucking cheap ass answers. I hope that I hope myself, I hope whoever is seeing this, you deserve better answers. You deserve better explanations. You deserve to not be left wondering why. Especially if you are paying for it.
Let's see how long this video lasts.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hutch. When I was designing the first Software Underbelly book, I realized that there were so many great portraits that weren't going to make it into that book. They just wouldn't fit. And once I saw how well that first book sold, I knew I'd have to design a second book. This second book is finally ready to ship. Like the first one, this book has a collection of some of the best portraits from Soft White Underbelly, accompanied by a quote from that person's interview. This book features another group of Rebecca portraits, as well as a collection of color images of the Whitaker family, and plenty of others. You can order yours for $125 or $150 for a signed copy at softwhiteunderbelly.org. Again, like the first book, once this book is sold out, I will not be printing more of them. The portraits are what Soft White Underbelly is all about, and these two books contain the best of all that work. Thank you for watching.